What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and of course I know there's going to be a lot of agreeing and disagreeing in this video. Make sure to leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think of my opinions. Don't forget, it is opinions. Last year I only got 3 spot on from my League One predictions, so I've probably predicted your team in a completely different position, but this is just my thoughts, like I said, my opinion. So hope you do enjoy anyway. Like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Getting started off with, I'm going to go from bottom to top. Starting off with 24th, I'm going with Cambridge. I think the losses of some big players, the likes of Harvey Nibbs, Sam Smith, Meetoff, Ironside, Lloyd Jones, are pretty big losses. And I think, you know, they brought in Danny Andrew, Sully Kai, and I just don't think at the moment, I know it can all change like every other team with more signings, but I think they're going to finish bottom of the league. 23rd, I've gone with Northampton. Again, they've done really well last year to come up. You know, they brought back in Leonard. They brought in Tyree Simpson, who done well at Swindon a few years ago in League 2. But for me, again, I just don't think their team is going to be strong enough, and I think they're going to be finishing 23rd. 22nd, I've gone with Carlisle. Another promoted team. Usually promoted teams don't get relegated. For me, I've already got 2 in here, but I just think Carlisle, Paul Simpson has done an excellent job with Carlisle since he's come into the club. Their spine is pretty well and still at the club. You know, they brought in the likes of Vale and Sean Maguire recently as well, who I think are really good signings. You know, they've lost a few players, you know, Feeney, Patrick, but yeah, again, I just don't think their team is going to be strong enough for the next League One campaign. 21st, and the final team that I think will be going down to League 2 is Cheltenham. I think you look at Alfie May, the amount of goals he scored, 43 over the last 2 years. I think if you take that out of the team, I think they're going to really struggle. They still got some decent players. They signed Southwood back on a free. Curtis Davis is good experience back on a free as well. Rob Street as well, who was at Shrewsbury last season, I think is a good option as well. But again, I just think they're not going to score as many goals, especially if you leave, you know, Alfie May leaving to go Charlton. I think it's a massive blow. So for me, those are the 4 teams getting relegated. Staying up then, 20th, I've gone with Port Vale, a team that were doing okay last season, struggled near the end and managed to stay up. But again, I just don't think they've got enough goals in their team. I still think they'll have a decent season. You know, they've brought in the likes of Connor Ripley, Connor Grant, Tom Sang, Ethan Chislett. They've got Ellis Harrison up front, former Rovers player, of course, as well. I think they'll have an all-right season, but I think if they want to improve on last season, I still think they need to bring in a few more strikers. I think they're lacking goals. 19th, I've gone with Shrewsbury. Obviously, had a quality season last year with Steve Cottrell finishing 12th, I believe. But I think the losses of Pennington and Leahy are pretty massive, and Steve Cottrell in general leaving the club. Of course, the ex-Walsall manager, Matty Taylor, has come in, you know, brought in the likes of Winchester, Perry, Feeney from Carlisle, the centre-back. But again, I think it's going to be a poor season from their standards based on the last few years they've had in this division. 18th, I've gone with Stevenage. I think, you know, with Steve Evans in charge, I think they're going to stay up quite comfortably. You know, they brought in 3 Thompsons. You got Ben Thompson, Louis Thompson, Nathan Thompson. Harry Anderson's a good signing as well, was at us last season. Butler is a quality signing, really rate him as a wing-back. Of course, they've lost a few players, the likes of Norris, but I think they'll do well enough to have a pretty decent season back in League 1. 17th, I've gone with another newly promoted team, the winners of last year, Leyton Orient. I know they've lost a few players, like Portsmouth's gone back to QPR, Vigouroux has gone to Burnley as well, but I like their additions, to be honest. You know, Galbraith on a free, Pigott on a free, Dan Ajayi got 16 goals last year for Crewe. El Mazzuni's back on loan. I think they'll have a decent season. They could even do better than that. 16th, I've gone with Exeter. Of course, come up with us last season. Done pretty well, as you know. I like their play one of the best football in the division. But I think with some of their big players leaving, you know, the likes of Josh Key, Giovanni Brown, Archie Collins, obviously Stanfield ain't coming back, the striker who done really well for them last season. Blackman, Jack Sparks. I think there are some huge losses. They brought in Aitchison and Jules and Carroll, but I don't really rate their signings. I think they're going to be in for a difficult campaign for me personally. 15th, I've gone with Fleetwood. Done really well last season in Scott Brown's first year at Fleetwood. They brought in the likes of Ryan Broom, Danny Mayer. Not really lost many big names. They've got the likes of Jack Marriott and Jaden Stockley. I think they could do even better with a few more additions. 14th, I've gone with Wigan. Now, Wigan, of course, are on -8. They've lost, a few key players, the likes of Power, Will Keane, Watmore's forced his way out of the club, Tendai Darikwa as well. But with the players they've still got, the likes of Callum Lang, McGuinness, Humphreys, Charlie White, James McLean, and with the additions of Matt Smith, Sean Clare, Keelan Watson, Liam Shaw, I think they'll do well. I would put them higher if they didn't have the -8 to start off with, but for me, Wigan will be in 14th. 13th, I've gone with Burton. Now, I've got them pretty low at the moment. They could still do even well and even challenge for the playoffs for me personally. The signings they brought in, the likes of Josh Gordon, Cole Stockton, Jamal Blackman, Ryan Sweeney, the list goes on. And for me, they done excellent last season. They struggled a bit, of course, when they had Hasselbank, but when they got in Dino Mamria, they've done really well and finished the season strong, so they could even finish higher than that. 12th, I've gone with Wycombe. Of course, a really good side at this level, but they've lost the likes of Wing, Abita. I know they've still got some good players as well in their team, the likes of Sam Vokes, Jacobson, Grimmer, Scowen. I know they brought in Del Taylor, which I like. Leahy's a good sign-in. Vincent Young as well. But for me, I just think they're going to do a little bit worse than last season. 11th, I've gone with Lincoln. Of course, Jake, I'm sure, will be listening. I know they've lost Regan Paul, which is a massive loss. To be honest with you, I don't think their losses are that big. They brought Tyler Walker back to the club, who done really well for them 3 or 4 years ago. They brought in Hackett. They brought in Jaden Brown, who was at Sheffield Wednesday. I think with a few more additions as well, they could also challenge for the playoffs. Like I said, I think this league this season is so up for grabs. Any team, that I predicted from 14th onwards, I think can challenge for the playoffs. That's why, again, it's going to be such a tough league, even though the likes of Plymouth, Ipswich have gone up. 10th place, I've gone with Reading. Brought in some decent players, likes of Nib, Sam Smith, Charlie Savage, Lewis Wing is a quality player at this level. Again, if they can sign some more players, I think they'll be up there. But for me, 10th at the moment for Reading. 9th, I've gone with Oxford. A lot of people I've seen so far put them in the playoffs, so just outside. I still think, again, they need a few more additions. They've still got the likes of Brannigan there. They've still got the likes of Elliot Moore, Brown. They signed Rodriguez, who done well in the National League, but hasn't played above that in his career. McEachran reunites with Liam Manning. Thornley comes back in on a free transfer. Mark Harris is also a good signing. But for me, 9th at the moment for Oxford. 8th, I've gone with Barnsley. Of course, a team who were agonisingly close to getting promoted to the Championship, but lost in the last seconds against Sheffield Wednesday. Matt Anderson I think is a massive loss for them. Of course, Bobby Thomas, who done well there after joining them in January, is not coming back. Easted was really good as well. He's left. Collins, the other keeper, has left. Luke Thomas has joined us. I still think they'll do okay. They might even do better. Again, there's still plenty of time, a whole month left pretty much to get signings in. So they could finish above that. They could finish in the same position. Who knows? I know they brought in Corey O'Keefe. They brought in Max Waters. They brought in Liam Roberts on loan for Middlesbrough, the goalkeeper. But for me, 8th at the moment for Barnsley. 7th, I've gone with Blackpool. I like some of the signings. They've brought in Kyle Joseph, Pennington, Norburn. Of course, Jerry Yates is going to be a big loss. Again, I still think they need a few more additions to get in the playoffs. I know Critchley's obviously come back. He knows how to get out this league with Blackpool, of course. He done it the first time he was there. But like I said, a few more signings, they could easily finish in the playoffs for me. 6th, call me biased, call me deluded, but I've gone with my own team, Bristol Rovers. I really liking our signings. I think the experience of James Wilson, And George Friend, who we brought in on a free, is really good. Of course, Wilson won the league last year with Plymouth. Still got the quality and experience of Sinclair. You know, Luke Thomas in on a free is quality. Giovanni Brown, I know, has off the field issues, fair enough, but on the pitch he's quality. Him in on a free. Kramer on loan from Brentford, along with England under-20 keeper Matthew Cox. Still think we need a few more additions. I think also, hopefully, we can keep Collins. I think he is, of course, a massive player for Rovers. But for me, I put Rovers to finish in the last playoff place in 6th position. 5th, I've gone with Peterborough. I know they've lost some really big players, the likes of Frankie Kent, Joe Ward, Jack Taylor, you know, Butler. The list goes on. But I like the players they've still got there. Mason Clark Harris, of course. They've signed Archie Collins, who for me was the best League One midfielder I've seen against Rovers last season. Brought in Chiozo and Critchlow. Again, they could finish even more up, depending on who else they sign. Like I said, there's still loads of time yet to see all the clubs bringing in new players, and of course players leaving as well. But for me, 5th is Peterborough. 4th, I've gone with Charlton. Really like their signing so far. I think they're one of the best so far in the division. You know, with Alfie May, Terry Taylor, Adoon Eisted, you know, Jones, Kamara from Ipswich on a season-long loan. I think they're excellent additions. Again, I still think they need strengthening, you know, with sort of backup players as well. But I'm really liking their signings, and for me, Charlton are going to finish 4th. 3rd, I've gone with Portsmouth. Of course, we played them on opening day. You know, got in their new manager last year in mid-January. They've done okay, but they signed loads of players so far. I think it's 12, 13 players they've signed. The group from last year, you know, you've still got Kobe Bishop, Riley Towler, you know, Marlon Pack, Joe Morrell, brought in Norris on loan. They've brought in, you know, some really good players. Regan Paul is a massive signing. And for me, I think the main squad or spine is there. And for me, I think they're going to finish 3rd place. 2nd place, I've gone with Derby. Again, the quality squad, you know, they've still got Conor Hourihane, Max Bird, of course, McGoldrick and Jason Knight are big misses. I still think they need a few strikers. I think Collins is a decent striker on his day, so is Washington, but I still think they need additions. I think defensively they're sorted. Cashin, who was quality last season, is still there. Signed Sonny Bradley. They've signed Kane Wilson. They've signed Joe Ward from Peterborough. I think their additions at the back and the midfield are great. I still think they need a quality striker to win the league for me. But winning the league for me is Bolton Wanderers. I think had a quality season, unlucky in the playoffs last year. I know Connor Bradley and Trafford are not there, but for me, they played the best football. They were the best team I've seen against Rovers last season. I think the signings they put in are going to improve them. The likes of Cogley, they brought in Nathan Baxter on a free, who's a quality signing. They still got, you know, Kyle Dempsey. They still got Dion Charles. They still got Santos. They still got George Johnson at the back. I think their team is excellent. They play good football. And for me, I think Bolton will be the League One champions come the end of the 23-24 season. So that is the video. Like I said, if you agreed or disagree, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Would be really appreciated. Turn on notifications as well. And like I said, thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. Up the gas.